So the Detroit Pistons end this road trip at 500, win two, lose two. And I think that what we're seeing from this Detroit Pistons at this point is that they are set for their rotations, minutes distribution, and roles moving into the playoffs. But I think this would be a mistake if they only continue to execute how they have been playing, and let's say do a better job staying out of foul trouble, maybe knock down some more shots consistently. I think they can continue to win out, potentially get up to a number 4 seed. Who knows? Maybe leapfrog Milwaukee, depending upon their schedule on this back end of the season. But I think that they are locked in, and there is a potential opportunity to make one major adjustment. And I want to dive into that in this video. But before I do, this video is brought to you by Bridges and Stones Family and Relationship Care. Look, we all need support in life. We all need someone who can give us some insight, have a pair of eyes that can see something different, show us where we can improve and grow. And Bridges and Stones is a place where you can receive positive coaching by a professional who is able to support you with your journey in life and make the adjustments and the growth that you're needing so you can live your best life. Contact Bridges and Stones for your free consultation today. Remember, none of us make it alone. The link is in the description box below. You know, when I think about this team has had a phenomenal, spectacular season. Let me just start there. Where they are today in terms of their position in the playoffs, their growth as a team, their change of culture and team identity, their cohesiveness, all these things have been absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. JB Bickerstaff, hands down, coach of the year. 100%. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that there aren't opportunities to continue to grow, because remember, this is not the end goal. A championship is the end goal. This is the direction that we should all be focused on, which means that the moves that are made should not necessarily be merely for the moment, but for what we are preparing for in the future. And when I look at this team, there is one major move that I see that I would love for JB Bickerstaff and his coaching staff to do. And that is to give Jalen Duren more isolation offensive opportunities. I mean that there are times I want them to dump him the ball either in the post or right at the free throw line and then spread out. Tell him to face his man up and take him off the dribble. You see, there are certain moments where your team has a distinct advantage in an area. There are moments where you have an opportunity to take advantage of the other team's deficiency. And right now in the NBA, there is a tremendous deficiency in terms of quality centers. And I mean all-star level, two-way playing centers. Guys like back in the day where you had Alonzo Mourning and Patrick Ewing and David Robinson and Tim Duncan and Shaquille O'Neal. You know those guys, right? Even the Brad Dohertys and the Luke Longleys and the Paul Gasols, guys who had length and had some level of stoutness, right, could actually meet you at the rim, right? The Dikembe Mutombos, Hakeem Olajuwon, those bigs are gone. The guys who can actually move their feet, were physical, you don't have to worry about that anymore. And there are moments throughout the games where the Detroit Pistons are needing a secondary score. Now, I know we've all talked about this before. Yes, we know it's Jaden Ivey. He is the answer and solution for that moving forward when he returns. 100%. I'm not sure if they have a outlook for when he is going to return. I don't think it's going to happen this season. I just don't. They said he's facing 4 to 6 month timeline. I'm sorry, he's not coming back. If he did, great. But considering the roster that they have, look, I love Tobias Harris. I think Tobias Harris has been a godsend. He's been a stabilizing force throughout this game against the Portland Trailblazers. There were constantly moments where this team needed a bucket, and they could count on him to get a mismatch. Not only did he take advantage of the mismatches, but he set himself up to be able to get a mismatch, meaning that he would hurry down the court and align himself with a guard so that the guard had to pick him up, standing next to him. Or he would set a screen so he can get a switch, and then he would have the guard on his back. And then he would go immediately into the post and put his hands up. And the team knows when Tobias Harris does this to give him the ball. This is incredibly valuable. A player who knows how to get a high percentage shot when you need it the most. That's Tobias Harris. But here's the thing. I think there's another guy who can do that for you. And that's Jalen Duren. Donovan Clingan, look, as good as he is at meeting guys at the rim, he's probably better as a help defender, coming from the weak side to use his length and height, or potentially challenging guards as they try to attempt floaters over the top. But when it comes to moving his feet laterally against an explosive, extremely mobile, quick, and physical big man like Jalen Duren, he doesn't stand a chance. And yet, I can't remember, in rewatching this game tonight, seeing Jalen Duren take him one-on-one at all. In fact, there are so many games I don't see Jalen Duren attacking one-on-one matchups at all. It is my belief that he should be doing this at least 4 to 5 times a game. At least. Because his ability to put pressure on the other team's opposing center to get him into foul trouble, it gets Jalen Duren going in a way where, one, it minimizes the little fouls he picks up because he's more locked in, because he has his offensive game going. He is one of those big men. He is one of those players whose defense is connected to his offense. That when he's scoring, when he is an effective contributor on the offensive end, he picks up his intensity, his focus, and his ability on the defensive end. And so seeing Jalen Duren be aggressive offensively is also an indication that he's aware of that as well. And so now he's taking steps to get himself going, knowing that that is going to correlate to the defensive end. And as a byproduct to his ability to stay out of foul trouble and to benefit his team. Now, here's the thing. I know at the end of this game, Asar Thompson had 5 fouls, Jalen Duren had 5 fouls, but for the most part, they stayed out of foul trouble throughout this game. Kudos to them. I needed to see that adjustment after the previous couple of games. They stayed out of foul trouble. They were able to close the game. It's extremely important. But the next level is we need to see Jalen Duren begin to take over games offensively. And he showed us there were a few games over the last month or so. I want to say the month of February really started to get it rolling. And all of a sudden he's scoring. He's getting up to, 18, 20 points in a game. He's starting to really show that he's got a lot more to his offensive package. And then he kind of goes back to deferring, waiting for the pick and roll lobs and dump offs, trailing, diving in after a cutter or a slasher gets to the rim, or trying to score on his own in transition after getting a rebound and taking it up the court. Those are all great parts of his game, but those parts are what we call auxiliary. They are extra. They happen as a byproduct of something else happening. They're not necessarily him making it happen outside of maybe him grabbing a rebound and taking it the full length of the court, which is rare. Most of the time he's just bringing it up and he's setting up the offense or getting it to a guard once he passes half court. What I want to see is Jalen Duren utilizing that ball handling ability, his ability to be shifty in his dribbles, whether it's a crossover, getting his shoulders into the chest of his defender, knocking him off balance and dunking over the top, or maybe it's turning over his shoulder for a little fadeaway or jump hook. Either way, he has more to his game, and he consistently, perpetually, continuously has an offensive mismatch. And this is going to be really important if we start thinking that, you might be facing an Indiana Pacers in the first round. You might be facing a Milwaukee Bucks in the first round. Even a New York Knicks with the Mitchell Robinson. Now, I know if the New York Knicks are a matchup and they stick with Karl Anthony Towns at center, Jalen Duren should eat all day. However, if they go big, like they did in Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns, and they do a Mitchell Robinson and Towns, that is going to be a hell of a first round matchup for Jalen Duren. And if he is going to sustain himself, if he is going to rise to the occasion, he has to have confidence that he can put more pressure on them than they can put on him. And right now, many times, a lot of these bigs are the ones initiating the pressure to Duren. Now, I know Cade Cunningham getting downhill and doing the lobs, that puts a lot of pressure on the defense as well. I get that. That's totally true. And at the same time, Cade is not always in the game, and there are times when Cade needs a relief. He needs a relief. Tobias Harris has been great. Dennis Schroeder, he's a guy that's going to step up when it matters, as we saw in the fourth quarter today. But those guys aren't necessarily playoff mismatches. Those guys don't have the physical tools to impose their will and create mismatches when you have elite defenses in front of you, when you have teams scheming to take away what you want to go to. And that is where Jalen Duren is going to be a missing piece. And if he can develop that ability now over the stretch of these next 17 games, yes, I know, only 17 games to go until the playoffs. How incredible is that, right? And we go home and have a home-and-home game against the Washington Wizards. Yo, I love how this is rolling out. All that's to say is Jalen Duren becoming more of an aggressive offensive focus in terms of attacking mismatches, which is pretty much just about any big that stands in front of him outside of a Joel Embiid or Giannis Antetokounmpo. All right? Those are two guys that have the physical strength, the lateral mobility, and the length to be able to keep Jalen Duren from finishing at the rim. Let this man grow. Let him be great. JB, you're doing an amazing job. I'm not even going to hold you if you decide not to. But I do think it would be a mistake. If y'all enjoyed the video, smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops, and I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.